Hi, everyone. So we're going to go through this live lesson here. We're going to talk about graphing and slopes. I went through and looked at the previous exams that students have taken and found problems that they missed, that were commonly missed. So we're going to go over some of those. And these aren't the exact problems from the test. I changed them a little, but it's the same idea. So we're just going to jump right into it. So our first one here is to find the other coordinate. So remember, coordinates have an x and then a y. And right here we have the y, but we don't have the x. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in 5 for the y, and then we're going to solve for x. Pretty straightforward. So 5 goes in for y, and we have 4x plus 21. So to solve for x, we're going to subtract 21 from both sides. We're going to end up with a negative 16 over here and a 4x over here. So we're going to divide by 4 on both sides. And we end up with x is equal to a negative 4. So there we go. We found our x. So our coordinate is actually negative 4, 5. All right. That one's pretty easy. Let's do the next one. So find the other coordinate again. Same thing. We have the x. We don't have the y on this one. And we have a fraction. Don't panic. Fractions are our friends. So we don't know what y is. So we're going to leave that. But we do know what x is. So we're going to put a 3 in place of the x right there. And we don't really need to move anything to the other side of the equation because we have y all by itself and we just have a bunch of numbers. So now we just have to remember our order of operation. We're going to multiply first, and then we're going to add. So negative 2/3 times 3. We're going to go off to the side and do that. Negative 2/3 times 3 over 1. These two are diagonal from each other, so they cancel out, and we get negative 2 over 1, which is the same as saying negative 2. Okay, so we have y is equal to negative 2 plus 5. Negative 2 plus 5 gives us 3. So y is 3. So our coordinate is actually 3, 3. Kind of cool. All right, let's go on to our next one. We're going to graph. Ooh, we have an equation here, has a fraction in it. We're not going to panic. We know how to deal with fractions. We're good. So the easiest way to graph is to make a nice XY table like this. We're going to pick x's. We're going to pick out some x's and then put them into our equation and find out what the y's are. You can even do the other way around. Put in y's and find out what the x is if you wanted to. But I'm going to pick out some easy numbers. I always like to pick out, so this x is right here, is sitting right by a fraction. So I'm going to pick out 0 for x. So here we go. Y is equal to negative 3/7 times 0 minus 2. This whole thing, negative 3/7 times 0 is just 0. So y is going to be equal to negative 2. That's pretty easy. All right. So here's another, hold on, I'm going to erase. All right, so another easy number to pick here. You notice, remember when we were multiplying fractions, if we choose a 7 for this x, then it's going to cancel that 7 in the denominator of that fraction. So that's a really smart number to pick because it'll make it nice and easy. So let's do it with that. Y is equal to negative 3/7 times 7 minus 2. Go off to the side over here. Negative 3/7 times 7 over 1. Our 7's cancel out. And we end up with negative 3 over 1, which is just negative 3. We got a nice number from that. So y is equal to negative 3 minus 2, which is the same thing as adding another negative. And we get negative 5. Negative 5. All right. So let's get some of this stuff out of the way now. Erase, 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 erase. There we go. Okay, so now we have 2 points. We have, whoops, 0, -2, and we have 7, -5. All right, 0, -2. So x is going to stay on 0, and y is going to go to -2. That's our first point. And then x is 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And y is -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, I'm going to get out my ruler and draw a nice line here. Yay, so pretty. All right, there's our line. And that has we're going to get into this more later, but that has a nice negative slope to it. Okay, so we graph that. Let's go on to the next one. Oh, we're going to graph -4. This one's nice. A lot of students kind of panic when they see this, but all this is that no matter what we pick for x, y is always going to be -4. So if we pick 2 for x, y is -4. If we pick 100 for x, y is -4. It doesn't matter what we pick for x, y will always be -4. So when x is 0, y is -4. Y is -4 right there. When x is 1, y is -4. When x is 2, y is -4. Keep going. When x is 9, y is -4. When x is -9, y is -4, which makes a nice horizontal line for us here. Right there. There you go, which has a slope of 0. All right, let's go on to the next one. That one's a pretty easy one to graph, so don't panic when you see y is equal to -4. Just remember what you've learned. All right, find the intercepts. Now the intercepts, this is where this line crosses the x-axis and the y-axis. And when it crosses the x-axis, x is going to be equal to 0. And when it crosses the y-axis, y is going to be equal to 0. So to find the intercepts, we just need to plug in x is equal to 0, solve for y, and then we'll have that point. And then we have to plug in y is equal to 0, solve for x, and then we have that point. So we just need to do some math here twice. So let's do the first one. X is equal to 0. 2 times 0 minus 3 times y is equal to 16. 2 times 0, that gives us 0. Minus 3y is equal to 16, which is just -3y is equal to 16. Don't throw that negative sign out. Divide by -3 on both sides, and we get y is equal to 16 over -3, which may look ugly, but it's not that bad. How many times does 3 go into 16? Well, it goes in 5 times. Don't forget your negative sign. It goes in 5 times, and what do we have left over? Well, we have 1/3 left over. Not so bad. So our x-intercept is going to be 0, comma, -5 and 1/3. So let's graph that. 0, and then -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1/3 is right there. Oh, who is that? Ruiz says, hello. Can you hear me? All right, we'll just keep going. All right, so when y is equal to 0, we're going to plug in 0 for y. So 2x minus 3 times 0 is equal to 16. So that's 0. So we're just going to end up with 2x is equal to 16. Divide by 2 on both sides, and we get x is equal to 8. So our y-intercept is going to be, oops, 8, 0. So let's graph that. Let's see. Let's see on our y-axis. So y is 0 and x is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right there. All right, and then here I'll draw a line for you. All right, we just need to find the intercepts, but I just graphed it for fun because that's fun. All right, let's go on to the next one. Oh, let me clear this off. Okay, find the intercepts again. Okay, remember finding the intercepts? Just need to find where x is equal to 0 and where y is equal to 0. All right, so where x is equal to 0, y is equal to 5/3 times 0 minus 7. That 5/3 times 0 just is 0, so we just end up with a -7. Don't lose that negative. So 0, -7, that's our point. 0, -7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you go. So where the x is 0, that's when it's going to be on the y-axis. And where the y is 0, that's when it's going to be on the x-axis. Okay, so let's look at y is equal to 0. 0 is equal to 5/3 x minus 7. All right, we need the x. We need to move this 7 over to the other side. So we're going to add 7 to both sides. Those add to 0. And we get 7 is equal to 5/3 x. And then we can divide by 5/3, which is the same thing as multiplying by 3/5. So we're just going to multiply by 3/5. And these two, when you multiply those, you get 1 on this side. And when you multiply this, you get 21 over 5. 21 over 5. How many times does 5 go into 21? It goes in 4 times. What do you have left? 1/5. All right, so our point here is going to be 4 and 1/5, comma 0. So x, we're going to go over 4 and 1/5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1/5. And y is going to be 0. All right, and that is our line there. There's our lovely line, which has a positive slope. If you notice, it's going up if you look from left to right. All right, let's go on to the next one. Moving right along. What does slanted right upward look like? So when you take the test, you can't really graph something. So they're going to ask you, you're going to figure out the slope of something, and then they're going to ask you, what does the graph look like? Is it slanted right upward? Is it slanted right downward? Is it vertical or horizontal? Those are the 4. When it's slanted right upward, so you're looking from left to right here. When it's slanted right upward, it's going to look something like this, or like this, or like this. Okay, those are all slanted right upward when you go from left to right, going up. And these all have positive slopes. Now remember the abbreviation for slope is m, so the m is going to be some positive number. So whatever positive number, it could be 3 or 7 or 1/5, but it just needs to be positive. So it'll have a positive slope. Okay, slanted right downward, it's going to look something like this, or like this, or like that. Whoa, that one went up. Undo. There we go. Or like this. Okay, those are all going downward, and then our slope is going to be a negative number for slanted right downward. Okay, so make sure you recognize, you know what those mean, slanted right downward and slanted right upward. Okay, and the next one is horizontal. That's pretty straightforward. It just goes straight across. And when you have a horizontal line, your slope is going to be 0. If you didn't see the little video I posted in the announcements, the Slope Dude video, Slope Dude, when he gets onto a flat place like that, he says this is 0 fun, meaning the slope is 0. So horizontal, and then vertical goes up and down like this. And when you have a vertical slope, then when you have a vertical line, then the slope is undefined. The Slope Dude, remember, he falls off the cliff. And when he falls off the cliff, he says this horrible thing. He says, undefined. Blah. So anyways, if you haven't watched the Slope Dude video, you should go watch it. It's in the announcements, and I think I posted it yesterday. So that'll help you remember when it's 0 and when it's undefined, and when it's positive and when it's negative. So, all right, let's go on. Find the slope. So we have 2 points. We're going to find the slope, and then we're going to describe it. So when we describe it, we'll use these terms that we just saw: vertical, horizontal, slanted right downward, slanted right upward. So one of those. Okay, so remember, when you find the slope, Brother Bear did this, and I think it's a great idea. You should label your numbers. So we're going to call this x1, we're going to call this y1, and we're going to call this x2, and we're going to call this y2. Now our slope is always going to be the y's over the x's. The difference of the y's over the difference of the x's. So this is our change in our up and down, right? That's how we change going up and down, and this is how we change going back and forth. And another way to think of slope is to say it's the rise over the run. So how far you go up and how far you go over. If you think rise over run, oops, I don't know what I just did there. Nope, that didn't work. Hold on. Oh, okay, hold on a second. I think I've done this before. All right. That didn't do anything. Sorry, on my screen it all of a sudden got really big. And I don't know why. All right, hold on a second. Okay. Oh, there we go. I fixed it. All right. All right. So we're going to find the slope here. Oops. Come on, go back to the pen. All right. So we're going to take our y1, which is 1, right? Right? Yes, it is. 1 minus 6 over 4 minus a negative 5. And we get 1 minus 6, that's negative 5. And 4 minus a negative 5, that's the same as saying plus 5, so that we get a 9. Negative 5 over 9. So let's plot one of these points, and then we'll use the slope to figure out where the line is. That'll be fun. So let's see. The first point is 4, 1. This is our slope, by the way. 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. 4, 1 is right there. And then using our slope, remember this is how far we go up and down. And then this is how far we go over. So we're going to rise negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right down to there. And then we're going to run 9. And 9's a positive. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I went right off the board there. All right. Let's try plotting the other one because I didn't have enough room. Let's see. Let's try negative 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right there. Negative 5, positive 6. Make sure you pay attention to those negatives and positives or you'll end up making a mistake. All right, let's try rising negative 5, running 9. Let's try this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, that put me right at the other point. Oh, it worked. Yay. All right, so there's our line. And is it a positive slope or a negative slope? Describe the slope. Is it slanting upward from the right or slanting downward from the right? Well, it's slanting downward, so that's how we can describe it. So you could say it's slanting downward from the right. You can say it's a negative slope. So those are 2 ways we can describe it. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Moving right along. All right, find the slope and describe the slope. So here we go. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. until you get really comfortable with slopes, I suggest you always label them. And remember, and if you need to write this down every time, you can do that. y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So our y1 is 9 minus y2 is 0. x1 is 2 minus a negative 1. 9 minus 0 is 9. 2 minus a negative 1 is the same thing as plus. So that's a 3. So our slope ends up being 3. Ooh, nice. All right. I'm going to plot. 9 is really close to the edge of my little graph here. So I'm going to plot this one right here, negative 1, 0. Right? Negative 1, 0. It goes right there. Okay? And now I'm going to use my slope, which is 3, to find another point. Well, that's pretty easy. We're going to call it 3 over 1, so we know how far to rise and how far to run. So we're going to rise 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to run 1. There's another point. We can do that again. Rise 3. 1, 2, 3. Run 1. There's another point. Rise 3. 1, 2, 3. Run 1. There's another point. There you go. You can do it the opposite way too, because this is the same thing as saying negative 3 over negative 1. So you can, instead of rising 3, you can go down 3. 1, 2, 3, and go backwards 1. There's another point. Go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and backwards 1. So we just made a lot of points using our slope. And now it's really easy to draw a line for our graph. There you go. All right, let's go on to the next one. 14. Okay, find the slope and describe the slope. We have an equation now. So we're going to get 2 points, and we're going to use those 2 points to find the slope. Next week, we're going to do something else that will show you how to find the slope just using the equation. It's really cool. But today we're just going to use the points to find the slope, and you can always do that. So there's at least 2 different ways of finding the slope, but we're just going to do the one. So we're going to make a XY chart to find the points, and then we're going to use those points to find the slope. So let's choose some nice easy numbers. We're going to choose 0 for X, and then we'll choose a 0 for Y, and we'll see what we get. Okay, so let's say we have 0 for X. That's going to be 2 times 0 minus 3 times y is equal to 1. So the 2 times 0 gives us 0. And then we have 3y is equal to 1. And y is equal to, whoops, divided by negative 3 on both sides. There we go. Divided by negative 3 on both sides. And we get y is equal to negative 1/3. All right, so our y is negative 1/3. I'm good with that. And I'm just going to erase this. There we go. Now I'm going to put in 0 for X. Nope, 0 for Y. We already did 0 for X. 2X times 3 times 0 is equal to 1. That 3 times 0 just goes, that becomes minus 0. So 2x minus 0 is just 2x. Divide both sides by 2. And you have x is equal to 1/2. So x is 1/2 when y is 0. All right, now we've done that work. Now we can figure out what the slope is. Right? So we have 2 points. Woo. We have 0. Does that when I try and write with the side of my pen instead of the 0, negative 1/3, and we have 1/2, 0. So, oh shoot, hold on. We're going to call this our x1, and this is our y1, and this will be our x2. This is our y2. Sorry, I don't have very much room there. All right, so our slope is going to be our y1, negative 1/3, minus our y2, 0. And then on the bottom, it's x1 minus x2, minus 1/2. And we end up with negative 1/3 minus 0 is just negative 1/3. And then 0 minus 1/2 is negative 1/2. Wow, our two negatives cancel each other out, so this is going to end up being positive. And dividing by a fraction, if you remember, 1/3 times 2 over 1. So we end up with 2/3 for our slope. M is equal to 2/3. That's a great slope. See, we like fractions when it comes to slopes. All right, I'm going to erase the stuff that's on our graph here. Now, you can describe this slope even before we graph it. It's going to be, it's not a zero, it's not an undefined. Is it positive or negative? Well, it's positive, which it means it's going to go upwards when you go to the right. Slanted right upwards. So let's plot these graphs, these points just for a second. So 0, -1/3, 0, -1/3 right there. Come on. Oh, I'm on the eraser still. There we go. 0, -1/3. Lovely. And then we're going to rise 2, go over 3. 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3. There we go. I just stayed like a third of the way down. And rise 2, run 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And now we can use those 3 points. You only need 2 points to be able to draw a line, but 3 points make it a little bit more accurate. But all right. So we found the slope right there, and we described it. It's going upwards, and it's positive. All right. So let's go on to the next one, see what we have left. Find the slope and describe the slope. Okay, we already did that once. And I'm sure this is getting really long for you. So we're gonna skip this one because it's just the same thing. You're gonna do an XY table, and then you're going to use your slope formula. Y1 minus Y2 over X1 minus X2. Oh, it's Diego. And oh, what would this slope look like? Here's another one. So we have X is equal to -12. Hi, Diego. So for this one, our X is going to be -12 everywhere, no matter what Y is. So if Y is 0, our X is -12. I don't have -12 on here. We're going to say that these are each worth 2, and we're going to put our -2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So we're going to say that's -12 right there. So if Y is 0, X is -12. If Y is 1, X is -12. If Y is 100, X is -12. X is always going to be -12, which gives us a nice, oops, not nice, messy line. Okay, so we have a nice vertical graph there. Here, I can do better than that. Hold on. All right, -12, we're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. 6 right there. And that's our vertical line. Here we go. Probably better without the ruler. All right, so our vertical line. This is what our slope looks like. It's up and down at -12. And our slope for that, if you remember, the slope dude guy is going to be undefined. You need to know when your slope is undefined and when it's 0. So when it's up and down, it's undefined. All right, let's go on to the next one. What would the slope look like if Y is equal to 1/2? So Y is equal to 1/2 means that your Y is 1/2, no matter what your X is. So that's going to be a nice horizontal line at 1/2. And if you remember from the slope dude guy, this is 0 fun when you're on a nice flat slope. So that's going to have a slope of 0. That's pretty easy. And I can promise you questions like this will be on the exam next week and on the final. So these are good things to know. And what would this slope look like? All right, again, we have an equation. We're almost done. I think this is the last problem we're going through. Oh, there might be one more. What would this slope look like? We have to make an XY chart. Notice there's an X here. So we're going to pick an X that's 0. We're going to find 2 points, and then we're going to figure out the slope. So we're going to pick an X that's 0 first of all. Y is equal to -2/5 times 0, which means that our Y is going to be equal to 0 when our X is 0. That's kind of cool. All right. And then let's pick another X that makes this nice and easy. We're going to pick, oh, check this out. I'm going to pick, whoops. I gotta go back to the pen. -5 for my X. I'm picking a negative so I can get rid of that negative up there just for fun. Let's see. So we have a -2/5 times, whoops, get rid of that, times 5. Whoops, times a -5. All right. So we have a 5 on the, we have -2/5 times a -5/1. These two diagonal 5s are going to cancel each other out. The negatives are going to cancel each other out. We're going to get 2/1, which is the same thing as 2. Oh, that's nice and easy. So Y is equal to 2 when X is equal to -5. That makes it nice and easy. All right, I'm going back to the eraser. We're going to clean this up. There we go. Okay. So we have 2 points. We have 0, 0. Here, I'll write them down here. We have 0, 0, and we have -5, 2. Now remember to label your X's and Y's so you don't forget which is which. So we're going to call this one X1, and we'll call this one Y1. It doesn't matter which one's X, which one's 1 and which one's 2. It doesn't matter. Just pick. We just want to make sure that the X's, the X1s are correlated with the Y1s, and the X2s are correlated with the Y2s. So then we use our slope formula, which is Y1 minus Y2 over X1 minus X2. Make sure the Y's are on the top and the X's are on the bottom for this. And our slope's going to be, let's see, 0 minus 2 over, our X1 is 0 minus a -5. So that becomes plus a positive. And we get -2 over 5. So our slope, that's our slope right here. What is it going to look like? Well, it's a negative number, which means that it's going to slant downward. Here, let's plot. Let's see. Here's our first point, 0, 0 right there. It goes right in the middle. And our second point is -5, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Right there. And so we draw the line. It's a negative slope. It goes downward. And we expected that because we figured out the slope was -2 over 5. All right. That, I think, is the last one for that. I just wanted to point out that there could be a problem, probably will be a problem, where it asks you to, if you invested $75 each month at 7% interest, how much money would you have after 25 years? This is what you did for the portfolio project. And when you're taking the test, they're going to allow you to use the spreadsheet. So you can go onto the spreadsheet and do your future value calculations to figure this one out. So make sure you practice something like this. So that's a heads up. And next week, you're going to be doing slope intercept forms, which is y is equal to mx plus b. And I have some videos here to help you out with that. And I will post those in the announcements next week so that you guys can get some more practice on slope intercept form. And that pretty much covers everything that's going to be on the test next week. And that's going to be on the final for this unit. So, all right. Diego, do you have any questions?
No questions.
No questions. You came in right at the tail end, so you'll have to go back and watch the rest and see if you have any questions on any of that. All right, I'm gonna hold on.